Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. To repay Adam, who had his leg broken in a car accident while saving me, I broke off my engagement to my childhood sweetheart and married him. After the wedding, when my mother-in-law and sister-in-law found out Adam had lost his ability to function as a man due to the accident, they took out all their anger on me. They constantly made life difficult for me, nitpicking everything I did and insulting me by calling me a hen that couldn't lay eggs. 7 years later, Adam's leg suddenly recovered, and I found myself pregnant. But when I was 8 months along, I accidentally fell at home and was rushed to the hospital. Because my body was resistant to anesthesia, I remained conscious and clearly heard Adam's cold voice say, "Take out her uterus along with the baby." A friend nearby couldn't bear it and said, "You pretended that your leg was broken to trick her into marrying you. Now that Charlotte got her wish and married Ethan Carter, the richest man around, why are you still taking away her right to be a mother?" Adam's voice was even colder than ice in the middle of winter. If I hadn't gotten drunk that night, this child wouldn't have existed in the first place. But even though she lost her uterus, being Mrs. Adam for life should count as fair compensation. Due to an amniotic fluid embolism, I died on the operating table. When I opened my eyes again, I was back at the scene of the car accident 7 years ago. I saw Adam running toward me from across the street. Without hesitation, I turned and ran. If he liked pretending to have a broken leg so much, then I'd make that dream come true. Without a second thought, I hurled myself into oncoming traffic. There was a loud crash, and people around screamed in horror. "Oh no, someone got hit. Call 911. The moment I hit the ground, pain exploded throughout my entire body. It was unbearable, but I still gritted my teeth and turned to look at the truck that had gone out of control. When I saw a familiar figure lying in a bloody mess on the ground, his face full of agony and disbelief, I finally smiled with satisfaction. In my past life, Adam had rushed out to save me just before the truck struck, and I only suffered minor scrapes, but he was hit by a nearby car and broke his leg. Later, I visited him in the hospital with gifts and overheard his parents sobbing that he might never be able to marry. To repay his life-saving act, I broke off my engagement with Ethan Carter and married Adam. For 7 years, I worked hard and never complained while taking care of my in-laws. And I endured my sister-in-law's constant bullying. On our wedding night, Adam told me that the accident had injured his manhood. So in 7 years of marriage, we had never once shared a bed. His mother and sister knew the truth, but still called me a hen that couldn't lay eggs. Out of guilt, I endured it all in silence. 7 years later, one day I unexpectedly came home and saw Adam standing. He told me he had only recently regained the ability to walk, and was planning to surprise me on my birthday. Not long after, he got drunk and we accidentally ended up in bed together. And that's how I got pregnant. Thinking back to what he said to his friend before I died, I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. This entire thing had been a lie from the beginning. The accident, the child. I had been nothing but a pawn, a stepping stone for Charlotte to marry into wealth. What made it even more painful was that I was the one who introduced Charlotte, a scholarship student, to Ethan Carter in the first place. Fortunately, heaven gave me another chance. I got up from the ground and turned to leave, but suddenly a thin figure rushed over and grabbed my arm. "You can't leave," she shouted. "He got hit by a car while trying to save you. How can you just walk away?" Of course, I knew that wasn't true, but I was more than happy to see things turn out this way. "Can you let go of my arm now?" I said calmly. "If you care so much about whether he lives or dies, shouldn't you go check on him? If you wait any longer, he might actually die. After all, getting hit by a nearly 20-ton truck isn't something a small sedan can compare to." Honestly, I was curious myself. What kind of condition was Adam in after getting hit? Hopefully he really did break his leg this time. Let him finally get what he wanted. With so many people watching, Charlotte had no choice but to let go of my arm. Still unwilling, she said, "I grabbed you because I know you. We went to the same school. I don't trust strangers. Can you help me take Adam to the hospital?" Seeing that she was still clinging on, I was just about to speak when the crowd around us reacted even more strongly than I did. "What's wrong with this girl?" one of them said. Can't you see this lady's hurt too? Why do you insist she has to go with you? Someone in the crowd asked sharply. The ambulance will be here soon. Just get in with them when it arrives. You're not seriously saying you don't trust the medical staff, are you? Another bystander muttered. Honestly, I'm starting to wonder if this girl has ulterior motives. She's not trying to traffic people or something, is she? Hearing the crowd speak up for me, I felt a surge of emotion. In my previous life, this exact car accident had been the beginning of 7 years of torment. I had given my heart sincerely to Charlotte and Adam, but all I got in return was betrayal and exploitation. They crushed me, turning someone once optimistic and cheerful into a woman battling severe depression. They ruined my entire life. In this life, I would make them pay for every drop of blood they owed me. Just as that thought crossed my mind, a tall, handsome figure rushed to my side. His wide, anxious eyes stared at me. Sharon, where are you hurt? Let me see. Seeing that familiar face, I couldn't hold back my tears anymore. My family and the Carters had been close for generations. We were neighbors, and Ethan Carter and I had grown up together. We were childhood sweethearts. After my parents died in a car accident, the Carter family took me in and raised me like their own daughter. They even arranged an engagement between Ethan and me. But in my past life, I broke off that engagement to repay Adam for saving me. Later, after the wedding, when I noticed how regretful my adoptive parents were over Ethan's failed marriage, I introduced Charlotte, who was still a poor scholarship student at the time, to him. That memory made me instinctively turn toward Charlotte. Her eyes were filled with jealousy. Before I could say anything, Ethan gently held my injured arm. I'll take you to the hospital. Just as I was about to leave with him, Charlotte suddenly rushed over, putting on a pitiful expression. My friend is hurt too, she said softly. Can you help take him to the hospital as well? As Ethan and I were turning to go, Charlotte quickly added, Please, I'm begging you. We went to the same school as Sharon. In this life, without my help, Charlotte was still this shameless. I couldn't help but laugh out loud in disbelief. First of all, while we were technically schoolmates, we had never spoken a single word to each other before. We were practically strangers. I don't know you, I said plainly. So please don't call me Sharon like we're close. It's gross. Secondly, if your friend's injuries are really that serious, unless you're blind, you should be able to see for yourself. Given his condition, only trained professionals should be touching him. Who else would dare? And lastly, why do you keep pestering me like this? Don't tell me it's because you're worried about a fellow classmate. Since the accident happened, you haven't even gone within 5 meters of him. You sure that's concern? My sharp words made Charlotte panic. She quickly turned to Ethan, trying to explain herself. It's not like that, she said in a teary voice. The ambulance was taking so long, and I was worried the delay would hurt him more, so I wanted to get him to the hospital quickly. Tears streamed down her face like a delicate, tragic heroine. Sharon, you really misunderstood me. In my past life, Charlotte always had this fragile, helpless image. Back then, I didn't know what she was really like. I just thought it was her personality. But now that I see through it, I only feel disgust. Just as I was about to step forward and confront her, Ethan suddenly pulled my hand. Sharon, get in the car first. I'll talk to her. After I got in, Ethan only said 2 things to Charlotte. I'm taking my sister to the hospital. You wait for the ambulance. If you keep pestering us, don't blame me for being rude. Seeing how firmly he stood up for me, I suddenly remembered how back in school, when some thugs were bothering me, he beat one of them so badly he ended up in the hospital. That was the moment I first started to like him. Later, I got up the courage to ask him why he was always so good to me. He said, because I promised your parents I'd protect you. I have to keep my word. When I realized he did it out of obligation, not affection, I was heartbroken for a long time. I was afraid that if I confessed my feelings, even the sibling bond we had would be gone. So I buried that love deep in my heart and kept it hidden my entire life. After I married Adam, Ethan found out I was being mistreated by his family. He wanted to stand up for me and fight back, but I stopped him. He had no other way to help, so he started coming to the house every day just to support me. If it hadn't been for him, my mother-in-law and sister-in-law would have bullied me even worse. In my past life, I only gradually realized Ethan's feelings for me after I pushed him and Charlotte together. Thinking about that regret, I decided to be braver this time. As soon as he got in the car, I held up my injured arm and pouted. "Ethan, it really hurts. Can you blow on it for me?" I rarely acted this spoiled, and he paused for a second before leaning in closer. Just as he was about to blow on my arm, I quickly leaned forward and kissed his cheek. Ethan jerked his head around, looking at me in complete shock. Even though I'd finally mustered the courage to do it, it was still the first time I'd ever done something like that. I felt a little embarrassed, but I forced myself to look straight into his eyes and said, "Seriously, thank you for standing up for me, Ethan." His Adam's apple bobbed. He hesitated, then said automatically, "I promised your parents." I immediately cut him off, my cheeks flushed. "Ethan, is it really just because of that promise to my parents?" My bluntness clearly stunned him. In my past life, I would have shrunk away after seeing his reaction. But this time, knowing how he truly felt, I decided to be brave one more time. "Ethan," I said, "I've liked you for years. Ever since you protected me behind the school that day, I've liked you. So do you like me too?" He looked into my shy, hopeful eyes and finally smiled. "I do." It was the answer I had been waiting for. I immediately seized the moment and pressed forward. "Since we like each other, shouldn't you talk to your parents about our wedding?" I added with a teasing smile. "I already confessed first. Don't tell me I have to be the one to propose too." Maybe I was rushing things a little, but in my heart we had already missed an entire lifetime together. So in this life, I wanted to speed things up. Still, I was worried Ethan might think it was too fast, but to my surprise he nodded without hesitation. "All right, I'll ask my parents to start preparing." I quickly added, "The sooner the better." Mr. and Mrs. Carter may not be my biological parents, but they loved me more than my real ones ever could. In my previous life, the reason Adam refused to let me have children was because Mr. and Mrs. Carter had said that any child I had would be treated exactly like Ethan's and inherit the same share of their legacy. When we got to the hospital, a nurse began cleaning and dressing my wounds. It took 3 full hours, but thankfully the injuries were only superficial. Nothing had affected the bone. After coming downstairs, Ethan went to pick up my medication while I waited in the lobby. That's when I happened to see Adam being wheeled out of surgery. The moment he saw me, his eyes flared with anger. "Why didn't you take me to the hospital? Do you even know my leg is broken?" His furious outburst was a stark contrast to how calm he'd been in my previous life. But of course back then, the leg injury was fake. This time it was real. For once, it felt like heaven had opened its eyes. I stared back at him coolly. "And what does your broken leg have to do with me? Don't dump your mess on me." Adam looked at me in utter shock, suspicion flickering in his eyes. I immediately realized he was beginning to wonder if I had also come back to life, just like I had suspected about him. And now his reaction confirmed it. He quickly recovered and snapped, "I saw the truck coming for you. I only rushed in to save you. That's why I got hit. Shouldn't you take responsibility for that?" I crossed my arms and replied, "Where's your proof?" Adam shouted in rage, "I was so far from the truck. Why would I run into it on purpose if I wasn't trying to save you?" "Who knows?" I shot back. "Maybe you lost your mind. After all, people can be unpredictable. And since you're so friendly with someone like Charlotte, who's clearly up to no good, what else might you be capable of?" With that, I turned on my heel and walked away toward Ethan, who had just come back with the medicine, and we headed home together. As soon as we walked in the door, Ethan told Mr. and Mrs. Carter that we were getting married. Their faces instantly lit up with joy. "Oh my goodness," Mrs. Carter beamed. "We're finally going to have a grandchild." In my past life, after the engagement was called off, no one was more heartbroken than Mrs. Carter. She had always hoped I'd become her daughter-in-law, and now in this life, her dream had come true. She was the happiest of all. She was barely done placing orders for wedding supplies when she picked up the phone to tell all their relatives and friends the good news. Mr. Carter sighed. "Looks like your mom won't be able to sleep tonight." Honestly, it wasn't just her. I was afraid too. that maybe I'd wake up and this would all turn out to be just a dream. The next morning, Ethan and I went to get our marriage license. Afterward, he drove me to school. As we stood at the gate, I wanted to linger with him for just a couple of minutes, but I suddenly noticed two classmates walking by, whispering and casting judgmental glances my way. It's her, right? So heartless. Just stood there and did nothing while someone got hit. Pretty face but cold-blooded. Hearing them, I immediately knew this had to be Charlotte and Adam's doing. I was about to confront them when Ethan had already stepped forward. What are you two saying? The girls raised their chins defiantly. Why shouldn't we talk about it? One of our classmates got his leg broken yesterday, all because of her. Not only did she ignore him, she even mocked him. Someone like that is bound to face karma someday. Hearing them, I instantly understood what was happening. I grabbed Ethan's arm and said, "You go check the traffic surveillance footage. I'll handle things here at school." Just as I finished speaking, Charlotte came pushing Adam in a wheelchair toward us, her eyes filled with hate as she glared at me. "Sharon, Adam's leg is broken because of you. Are you happy now?" Faced with such a baseless accusation, I just found it laughable. Adam started pretending to be the good guy again, putting on an act. "Forget it. Saving you was my choice. I accept that." Then he looked up at me and said, "I came here to tell you the rumors at school weren't spread by us, but I'll help clear things up." "Leave," I said coldly. "If it really wasn't you spreading the rumors, then swear on it. Swear that if it was you, your leg will stay broken forever." Adam's expression changed instantly. "I already said. I don't want you to take responsibility. How can you ask me to make such a vicious oath? I know people like you. Rich, arrogant, and always looking down on those of us who don't have money," he snapped. "But I have my dignity. Don't worry, I won't cling to you." When threats didn't work, he switched to playing the victim. I couldn't help but find it even more ridiculous. "I don't need your forgiveness," I said sharply, "because I'm going to find the evidence myself to prove I'm innocent. And I'll be asking the police to investigate exactly who spread the lies and slander. Once I find them, I'll make sure they're dealt with legally. No exceptions." With that, I turned to grab Ethan's hand and leave. I didn't realize my marriage certificate had fallen out of my pocket. Adam saw it and immediately looked stunned. "Why do you have a marriage certificate in your pocket? Who did you marry?" Before I could react, Charlotte picked it up. I rushed over and snatched it back. Facing both of their confused, questioning stares, I hadn't planned to say anything. But since they saw it already, I figured there was no point in hiding anymore. I took Ethan's hand and said calmly, "As you can see, we're married." Adam instantly shook his head. "Impossible. There's no way you would marry someone else. You were supposed to marry me." Then he suddenly pointed at Ethan, his voice rising. "He must have tricked you, right? Your marriage doesn't count. I'll go with you to get a divorce right now." I was taken aback by how extreme his reaction was. Even if this was all about getting Charlotte married to Ethan, his anger didn't make sense. Not even Charlotte looked as worked up as he did. I couldn't figure it out, so I just chalked it up to his possessiveness. Whatever the reason, I didn't care to guess anymore. I sneered. "Looks like it's not just your leg that got broken. Maybe your brain's damaged too. You're delusional." He knew full well we had both been reborn, yet he kept bringing up things from the last life. I just found it pathetic. Adam snapped out of it after my insult, but he still wouldn't give up. He stared at me with stubborn intensity. "You said before that you didn't love him. Was that because his family forced you? Are they refusing to give you your parents' inheritance? If that's the case, I'll help you get it back. They're filthy rich. They shouldn't be stealing from your family." The moment those words came out of Adam's mouth, I rushed forward and slapped him hard across the face. "If you dare speak ill of the Carters again, it won't be just a slap," I hissed. "Who I marry is my business. Who the hell do you think you are to judge my life?" It was true. In my past life, I had told Adam I didn't love Ethan, but that was only because I didn't want him to carry guilt for what he'd done. I said it to ease his conscience, even though it went against my heart. Anyone in the world could ask about my parents' inheritance, except Adam. In my last life, Every penny my parents had left me was spent by his family under the excuse of medical treatments and hospital bills for his parents and him. Thinking about how I'd been fooled by that family for 7 full years only to die at their hands in the end filled me with rage. "Sharon, how could you hit someone?" Charlotte suddenly jumped in, looking pitifully at Ethan. "Mr. Carter, we only came here to tell you the rumors weren't from us. Please believe us. But don't you think it's a little too rushed for you and Sharon to just get married like this?" Adam quickly followed up. "Marriage isn't a game. I'm only saying this for your sake, because I don't want you to regret it later." Just as I was about to shut them both down, Ethan stepped in first. "And you think marrying you wouldn't make her regret it?" His sharp gaze hit Adam like a blow. Adam instantly looked guilty. Ethan didn't back down. "We grew up together. I've loved her for years, so no, this isn't rushed. I've waited a long time for this." I couldn't help but look up at the man in front of me. Ethan finished his sentence, then gently took my hand and turned to leave with me. But right at that moment, Adam suddenly shouted, "Sharon, you can't leave." Adam shouted, "My leg got broken because I was trying to save you. You have to take responsibility." Seeing him finally show his true face, I let out a cold laugh. "There's surveillance footage. It will show exactly how your leg got broken. If you want to falsely accuse me, then let's just go straight to court." I left those words behind and turned, taking Ethan's hand and walking away with him. At first, I just meant to help him get in the car and then go back to class, but instead he pulled me into the car with him. "I'm taking you somewhere," he said. I frowned. "But I have class in a bit." "I'll call and get you excused for 1 period," he replied. "I'll bring you back by lunch." Ethan took me to the Carter family company. As soon as we walked in, he led me straight into Mr. Carter's office. "Dad, are the things I asked you to prepare ready?" he asked. Mr. Carter nodded. "Most of it's done. Just a couple items left." He pulled open a drawer and handed over some documents. Curious, I leaned in to look. I realized these were all the assets my parents had left behind. Ethan explained. "These were left to you by your mom and dad. Over the years, my dad invested the money on your behalf. Tripled it, actually. We were originally planning to finalize everything this afternoon, but now is just as good. This is all yours. We'll go file a prenup later to have everything notarized." I immediately shook my head. "No need for notarization. Just leave it all with you guys, including the $880,000 dowry your mom gave me last night. Keep investing it for me. Too bad it's only the early 1990s. If Q or WeChat existed, I'd absolutely be showing off right now. But actually, I didn't need to. Thanks to Mrs. Carter and some enthusiastic classmates, the news that Ethan and I got married spread fast. Mr. and Mrs. Carter worried that I wouldn't like living with them after marriage and offered to buy us a separate home. I flatly refused. I've lived here over 10 years already. If I wasn't comfortable with it, I would have said so by now. I'm more than used to it. So used to it, in fact, that very night, I used the excuse of changing my bandages to pull Ethan into my room and seduced him into spending our wedding night early. Once we'd been intimate, we shamelessly slipped right into newlywed life. Compared to us, Adam's situation was downright pitiful. His family didn't have much money to begin with, and after his accident, they were completely drained. They couldn't even afford his follow-up treatments. Technically, the cost should have been covered by the truck driver's insurance, but that driver had died on the spot. He left behind a penniless widow and orphan. Worse still, the truck hadn't been insured at all. As I was silently marveling at karma doing its job, I suddenly heard Adam's panicked voice up ahead. "What if the police trace it back to me? You were the one who came up with the idea. You have to take responsibility." Charlotte's voice followed cold and sharp. "What are you so scared of? If it didn't work the first time, we'll just try again. As long as Ethan thinks Sharon's some cheating whore, do you really think he won't divorce her?" Adam sounded horrified. "But if anyone finds out about this, we could go to jail." Charlotte scoffed in disgust. "Look at you, spineless coward. If you won't do it, I'll find someone else. And don't expect me to take you with me when I succeed." Seeing her about to leave, Adam immediately caved. "Fine, I'll do it." I watched their silhouettes disappear in the distance, smiling as I tucked my recording phone away. Time to turn their little plan against them. That same night, just as I left school, I noticed someone following me. When I reached the alley entrance, the stalker suddenly sped up, only to be knocked out cold by Ethan, who had been tailing behind. I was just about to leave with Ethan when Adam suddenly showed up in a wheelchair. The moment I saw him there, I realized he hadn't followed the plan he and Charlotte had made. He came on his own, wanting to play the hero. I smirked coldly. Fine, let's make your wish come true. I asked Ethan to knock him out too, and we dragged him into the alley, dumping him next to the person Ethan had already taken out, Charlotte, who he had preemptively taken care of as well. We stripped all three of them down, leaving them in a compromising position. 10 minutes later, when a passerby found three half-naked people tangled together in the alley, they couldn't help but laugh. Whoa, a three-way and out in the open. That's wild. Charlotte slowly came to. Faced with the crowd's shocked and leering stares, Charlotte screamed in terror. Get away from me. Don't touch me. It's not what it looks like. Someone set me up. There hadn't been that many onlookers at first, but her outburst drew everyone nearby. Ethan and I stood at the back of the crowd, calmly admiring the scene we had orchestrated. As soon as Charlotte spotted me, her eyes filled with hatred, and she pointed at me shrieking, "It was you. You did this to me, didn't you?" She turned to Ethan, tears glistening on her face. "Ethan, don't be fooled by Sharon. She pretends to be kind, but she's evil underneath." Before she could finish, Ethan cut her off coldly. "The evil one here is you. I've already handed over the evidence of your fake car accident and defamation to the police. They're on their way now." In an instant, Charlotte collapsed to the ground as if the strength had drained from her body. She kept shaking her head, muttering, "No, this isn't how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to marry you. It should have been me." She had also been reborn just like Adam, still living in the fantasy of our past life. I couldn't help but find it pathetic. The police arrived shortly after. Adam was lifted into a wheelchair. As the officers escorted the three of them away, Adam suddenly turned to me with wide eyes. "You were reborn too, weren't you?" He didn't dare say reborn outright, so he used it as a euphemism. Seeing that he had finally realized the truth, I didn't bother denying it. I just gave him 8 words in return. What goes around comes around. Karma never fails. Adam panicked. "Sharon, I really love you. I was tricked by that Charlotte, please believe me." I looked at him with nothing but cold contempt. "Your so-called love, I don't want it. Honestly, I wish you were dead." After Adam was taken away, he kept making a scene at the police station, demanding to see me. The officers came to ask if I was willing. I said no without hesitation. There was nothing left for us to say, but the thought of the baby I had carried for 8 months in my past life, already formed inside me, still made my heart ache with every breath. At least now I'd gotten revenge. Because in the car accident, Charlotte and Adam had only been trying to use connections for personal gain, and hadn't caused actual harm. The police could only charge them with defamation and attempted assault. In the end, they were sentenced to 2 and 3 years, respectively. 2 years later, Adam was released first and was nearly beaten to death by Charlotte's brother as soon as he got out. He was left bleeding on the roadside, barely alive. Charlotte, on the other hand, was granted early release for good behavior. But within days of her return home, her family rushed her into a marriage with a gambling addict who had already been divorced twice. During the wedding, an argument over the dowry broke out. The groom slapped her in front of all the guests more than once. I heard about this just as I found out I was pregnant. I was so excited that I rushed out the door, eager to share the good news with Ethan. But just as I got into the car, a figure darted toward me and grabbed me by the neck. "You were supposed to marry me. Why did you marry someone else?" I was starting to lose consciousness when all of a sudden the grip on me loosened. Ethan, who had come to pick me up because he was worried, had arrived just in time. He threw Adam and his wheelchair to the ground with one swift motion. He immediately turned to check on me. "Sharon, are you okay?" I coughed hard a few times and shook my head lightly. "I'm fine." The police arrived quickly and dragged Adam away. Even as they shoved him into the car, he was still yelling, "You can't marry anyone else. You're mine. Mine." Crazy. Back home, I decided it was time to tell Ethan everything. There's something I need to tell you, I began. Actually, I know, he said calmly. Because I was too. I froze. You're not mad that I was married to him before? I asked, unsure. Ethan looked into my eyes, full of warmth and depth. I just thank God that we both got a second chance. His gaze moved me so deeply that I threw myself into his arms. Ethan, there's something else I need to tell you, and this time it's good news. I leaned close to his ear and said, word by word, you're going to be a dad. He spun toward me, his expression one of complete shock, the same look he had when I first kissed him. Really? When I nodded, he picked me up in excitement. This is amazing. I'm going to be a dad, Sharon. I love you. I love you too, I whispered.